You're listening to the Every Student, Every Day podcast with me, Jim Franchini, Superintendent of the Averill Park Central School District.
Welcome to this episode of the Every Student, Every Day podcast. We are very fortunate here in Averill Park. It's not often you win a state championship, and we have now won 2 in 2 straight seasons. So we're excited today to have with us the members of the boys baseball New York State Class A champions. Fresh off their victory in their parade. We're recording this on Wednesday, so it was literally just a few days ago when they won the title, and then were greeted by our community, who did a great job of showing their appreciation and support. It was a great night back here in the district. So thank you to these guys for joining us. We know it's a busy time of year as things are wrapping up. So what we'll do is start by having them introduce themselves. We'll start with you, Mr. Bubniak.
Mark Bubniak, Director of Athletics.
Thank you for joining us. Coach.
George Brooks, Varsity Baseball Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Michael.
Michael Wormuth.
Stephen.
Stephen Koval.
All right. And last but not least, Aiden.
Aiden McHugh.
Great. Thanks, guys, for hopping on with us here to record this. So the team entered the postseason with 6 losses, and you were the 5 seed in the Section 2 tournament. You had to face the number 2, which was Mahonison, the number 1, which was Scotia Glenville. What was your mindset going into the tournament and into those games? We know that Section 2 was one of the more competitive sections in the entire state. How did you feel going into that tournament? Coach, what was kind of the team's mindset at that point?
Yeah, I think we really work hard to focus on ourselves, really. I mean, there's only so many things that you control. One of the things you can control is, how you practice and how you play. So, we let the seedings kind of take their place, and, our driving force is us, right? We want to continue to focus on what we do well and what we can improve on, and, go into the sectionals, ready to go.
What about from the player point of view, Michael or Stephen or Aiden? What do you think the team was thinking as you were kind of going into it? Kind of what Coach Brooks said?
So, I mean, the fact that we play in the Suburban Council means that we know we're playing extremely hard competition the entire way throughout the year. So going to Class A baseball and not playing AA schools, I mean, we really weren't scared at all, and we knew what we could do. So we went into those games excited and confident, not really fazed by those losses, because we know we've learned from those losses as well.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. Was there a point during the season, or maybe even during that postseason run, where you thought, hey, we can actually win the whole thing? I mean, was there a moment in time where that kind of light went off, where I know this team in particular works very hard, where you said, okay, this hard work could actually pay off. We could actually lead to something here that's even bigger and better than we had thought. Aiden, any thoughts on that?
I think from the beginning of the season, our first practice, we knew we had a special group. We had been together for a really long time and had a ton of great players on our team. And I think we had all the confidence in the world going into the season, but also after our sectional seeding.
Michael, any thoughts on that as well in terms of when you guys thought this might be a real possibility?
Yeah, after last year when we lost to South Glens Falls in the sectional finals, I've been saying ever since then that this is going to be our year. I knew we had the talent, and I knew we had the heart, and especially our first sectional game against Amsterdam, I knew we were something special when they didn't make a single error. We didn't even hit our best, but when you have such a good pitcher on the mound like McHugh, who just threw strikes, and just have such a good defense behind him, it's kind of hard to lose that.
Thank you, Michael. Stephen?
I think my first point of realization was, again, like Mike, against Amsterdam in our first sectional game. That's when I realized that the team really, as he said, does truly have heart. We were energetic the entire game. There were some great dudes in that team, and the way we played just showed that our hard work was paying off. And we all knew, like, oh my God, we've got a real shot at this, so let's go get it. And we felt like we had to.
I'm going to jump in here for a second.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if the boys know this. I may have told George this, and similar to what I did with girls basketball, the charter bus was booked for Binghamton about 2.5 months ago for 2 nights to Binghamton. So I think both myself, Coach Brooks, you can never guarantee a state championship, but I think we were pretty confident that this team, had the ability to make a deep run like they did.
Coach, anything from your
Yeah.
end?
Yeah, we started the season 6-0, and you're really feeling good when you win six games in a row. We got off to a great start in the league with Boston Spa, and I think we really had some confidence there. And at the point we were 6-0, thinking to myself, "Oh my God, can we win all these games?" I mean, it just felt that good. And honestly, a real big turning point was a 4-game span where we actually went 1-3, and we lost some games. We lost some close games. We gave up some leads, and it was then when I realized these guys were really unfazed, and they internalized some of those losses and really gained a lot of, I think, good insight, and we learned a lot about ourselves and what we needed to improve on. I think that really, really made us a lot stronger. And then, obviously as we head into postseason play and, we win that game against Amsterdam, and then we hold off Mahonison, the confidence level just increased tremendously. And then the Cortland game was unlike any game I've ever experienced. It's a 9-inning game, and Michael Warmoth out of nowhere in left field essentially saves the day. You just felt like there was no way that you could lose at that point, just by the feeling and the presence that you got from the players. So just an unreal experience.
Excellent. Thank you. Coach, sticking with you for a minute, I don't know if our listeners know, this was not your first state title. You've won 2 prior to coming back to Averill Park. I know in talking to Coach Oregon, his experience in coaching in those games, that tournament really came into play in helping this group of girls go through the process this year. How about from your end, as someone who has been through this, actually not once, but twice in a previous district, how did that experience help you in preparing the team and getting them ready to play, and then actually during the games themselves?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I tried to stress to these guys as much as I could was to really just enjoy the moment, right? As a high school baseball player myself, my team's unfortunately never even qualified to play in sectionals, so to have had those experiences, you definitely do learn a lot. But, the one thing that I was always taught when you got out to Binghamton was to just really enjoy the experience, enjoy your time with your teammates, and really try to focus on controlling the things that you can control. I think a lot of times you see other teams, worry about calls and worry about different situations. And, our focus was us. Focus on us, support your teammates, continue to strive for greatness. If something doesn't go well, move on, because realistically, we're not going to go out there and be perfect. The sectional run is not going to be perfect, but if we can overcome the adversity by picking each other up and just really genuinely enjoying the moment, I think that was something that I really, really learned throughout my experiences. And these guys, they hit a home run when it came to all those things I just mentioned.
Great. Thanks, Coach. Getting into the postseason, you outscored your opponents 43-9, which is an amazing stat. And then 2 shutouts in the final 2 games. Again, just kind of mind-blowing. Looking back at it now, it's been a few days after that last game. Have you realized or thought about just how dominant the team was? I mean, you guys didn't just win 43-9 in your postseason run. What were your thoughts about that? Steven, you want to start off for us?
Yeah, so I think that really just kind of is evidence of what we've been saying already. We had so much confidence that we couldn't lose. We never at any point in time felt like we could lose, even in that 9-inning game that where we were tied for most of the time. I mean, the team was just so resilient, and when it came down to it, we did what we needed to do. And those 2 shutouts, I mean, huge, that our defense was as good as it was and our pitchers were just lights out. So, I mean, some weapons we had all year, and everything just came together at the right time and got us where we were.
Michael, what are your thoughts on that, the domination of the postseason?
Yeah, I agree with Steve. So when we went down to Binghamton, we knew we were playing the quote-unquote number 1 team in the state. They won the Low League World Series, but there was not a moment in that game or even warm-ups where I was like, wow, our team just looks down. Nah, like we were ready to go to war. And when you have such a good pitcher on the mound, such a good defense behind them, like the bats are going to get going. So, no, we just never felt like we were ever down.
And Aiden, how about you?
Sometimes, I always think like, especially during like the playoffs, you can take your defense off the bus, but necessarily can't always take your bats. I feel like we always knew that we were going to be great defensively, and that we didn't have to score 10 runs or 8 runs to win a game. Ethan Ardacci and Brady Mazzio threw absolute gems in our last 2 games. I mean, from the first 2 innings from those guys, I knew that they were going to dominate all game.
Coach, what about your thoughts? I know how you prepare. At any point did it sink in, like we're not just winning games, we are dominating teams at this point? Did that ever kind of crush your mind as you were going through it?
I think the biggest comfort that I had as a coach is, I felt like we had numerous guys that we could put out there on the mound, and we would look closely at the other team's personnel and then really try to ultimately make the best decision. In the beginning it was Aiden shutting out Amsterdam, and then as we moved through the sectionals, different guys stepped up. But the one thing I'll say, in those final 2 games, and I know Stephen would agree with me, is those guys were really pounding the strike zone. We have a great defense, but sometimes you walk a guy here and there, and then a walk and a double to the gap, and all of a sudden a run comes across. And we really, really did a great job of throwing our strikes. And I thought, Brady, especially in the last game, did a great job of, utilizing his off speed. He kind of struggled with it early on, but he was still filling up the strike zone and getting some swings from the batters with the fastball. And then later in the game, he was very, very efficient with his off speed pitch. So, I think their ability to throw strikes was huge. And as I went back and looked at their season-long stats, I mean, just minimal walks, and when you have a great defense, like we have, it certainly helps, and then offensively, we have a lot of unselfish guys. You got guys in big moments like that can step up to the plate and try to hit the ball a mile. But, guys like Aiden, I can think back, and Steven too, against Cortland, just willing to take the ball the other way. Michael had a ball that he hit a line drive to the pitcher. Just really unselfish at bats, guys willing to hit to all fields, because in those big moments, you have the tendency to want to be a hero, and these guys really did a great job of staying within themselves. And I think that led to a lot of the offensive production. Hunter Willett willing to sacrifice bunt, Matt DiGiulio sacrifice bunts, just a lot of unselfish players.
Great, thank you. So unique that the 3 of you on the call on the podcast today are all seniors. And I know we often hear only one team wins their last game, right? Whether it's professional sports, high school sports, only one team wins their last game. And it's a crazy thought, right? When you go through this, there's one team in the state in Class A that won their last game. And for you guys, it was your last game of your high school careers. Has that sunk in yet, that you just went through this run, this postseason run, and literally were the team that won its last game? What are your thoughts on that? Aiden, you want to start off for us?
Yeah. No, it really hasn't sunk in yet. I know. I mean, I feel like I should be going to school and going to practice after school and playing a game on Thursday. It just doesn't really feel real. I mean, obviously it's absolutely amazing with what we've done and what we accomplished. I mean, it feels great on our last season to be able to accomplish something so great, but it's bittersweet. I really wish I could still be playing with these guys every day, and it was a lot of fun.
Great, thanks, Aiden. Michael?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's gonna sink in. Like, it's just crazy to see like how far everyone's come. And like you said, to go out on a win is just feels like we really should still be playing right now. I'd love to, but at the end of the day, it's bittersweet. We came in the season, our goal was just to win sectionals, and then we just kept getting better from there and realized what we really could accomplish.
Steven?
So I think that just like the routine that we built throughout the year, that's what's going to really make it sink in, now that we don't have school, now that we're not practicing after. And I think once a few more days pass and we realize how much we miss all that, and we miss the guys on the team, that's when it'll really sink in. But at the same time, my mom asked me last night, she's like, are you still riding the high? Meaning, like, are we still feeling extremely excited, heart pounding about what we just did this weekend? So, yeah, we're still on that, and it's been nothing short of amazing.
So you guys have the big victory there, a long bus ride home, unlike our girls team. And Mr. Bubniak did a great job of helping to plan and coordinate rather quickly a nice event. And we really thank our local fire departments and law enforcement. I pulled into that West End Lake parking lot, and I knew what I was pulling into, and I was still blown away by the number of fire trucks that were in that parking lot. It was the support of our community on such short notice. It was unbelievable. Well, let's start with you, Mark, in terms of, you've fortunately been able to do this now a couple times. The support of the community for this team, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Just whether it's been, obviously the parents at all the games and everything, and the student support, or, Coach Brooks and I and some of the other assistant coaches, we've, after each postseason game, we've kind of gone out and had a meal together. And there was a couple times where we were out and, some people overheard what we were doing, and they said, here's $200 to spend on, the kids for a meal or something when you're down there. And that's happened a couple times. So just the community support in general is great, but then to the parade as well. I reached out to the chief from the Averill Park Fire Department, just asking if we could get a couple fire trucks meeting us at West End Lake and take the team around town to celebrate a little bit. And boy, when we got there, I think there was, almost 10, 11 fire trucks, chief's vehicles, and from like 5 different fire departments. I think it was beyond our wildest dreams how it was coordinated in such a short amount of time. And really all the credit for that goes to, all the individual fire departments and the chief from Averill Park. They did a terrific job. And then ultimately, I think the favorite video I have on my phone, all besides the final pitch, was the boys getting off the bus, Coach Brooks' 2 sons without their shirts on, Tim Koval without his shirt on, and just the pure joy and excitement you could see on both the players, the parents, student bodies' faces. Truly a moment I don't think anybody's ever going to forget.
Coach, how about you? What are your thoughts on the support the team received?
Yeah, it was incredible. You're driving back, and everybody's excited. You're on the bus for 2.5 hours, and you really don't know what to expect. But as you pull into town and you're starting to drive through West Sand Lake, and you see people, out on the sidewalks, cheering, and as we continue around, people coming outside their houses and pumping their fists, it's
Great stuff. How about the boys? Thoughts on that as you got to experience that front row seat? Michael, we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, getting on that bus after the win, I don't think anyone really understood how big that parade was going to be. Me personally, I didn't think we'd get that much support, but I just can't thank the parents enough and the Averill Park community. I mean, they truly made our night just so special, and just shows how much Averill Park really cares about their sports and about their players, and it's just something amazing I'll never forget.
Steven, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, at all of our games in the postseason, there was about as much support as there could be, no matter how far. We had a lot of people there, and I can't thank them enough for supporting us, because when we see them in the stands, we realize what we're playing for. It's not just for ourselves or our team, it's for our community too. So to see that support was just amazing. And when we get back, I don't think any of us were expecting, like Mike said, to see as many fire trucks and all those vehicles that were ready to take us on a parade. I mean, that felt amazing to see how much people around us cared about what we did. So it made us feel even more rewarded.
Great. Thank you. Aiden?
I was really just amazed to see how quickly everything was put together. I know it isn't easy to get 11 fire trucks together for us for a parade in 3 hours, and it seemed like everybody in Averill Park was outside their houses and watching us drive through like it was the 4th of July. I mean, it was this huge thing, and it was awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Dr.
Coach.
Franchini, if I could jump back in too, because I get a little emotional talking about these things, and I got a little choked up thinking about it, but just want to kind of share a little quick story. I had a friend of mine get caught at the intersection at Algonquin as the bus was coming through and the fire trucks was coming through, and that video was about 4 minutes long, and it just speaks to just how many fire trucks and how many people were just involved with that parade. So I hope a lot of the listeners, share the words that I have of appreciation for all the time and effort that went into just making that moment so special. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Coach, we're going to stick with you. We talked to the seniors about, their career being over. Can you talk about this group and what it's meant to you as a coach and what they've meant to the program? I know in talking to you, you talk a lot about what you're trying to build here and the culture you're trying to establish and how important that is to you. How has this group of seniors played a role in that?
Yeah, they all had a unique path, right? I mean, Steven's been on the varsity team for 4 years, and Alex Josh 4 years, and Michael and Aiden were not far behind at all. And we I felt like we were really, from the time I got here in 2018, I thought we did a great job of continuously building the program, and then COVID hits, right? And then I don't want to say we take a step back, but it was a gap in a year, and it was a time where we really needed some of our players that have been in the program for a long time at a higher level to really step up and to continue to try to mold and build in those philosophies that we have. And these guys have done a tremendous job of doing that. I spent a lot of time with them in the off season and obviously during the season, and they totally buy in. They want to please you, but at the same time, they share the same values that I have. They want to be hardworking, they want to be dedicated, they want to be committed, they want to support their teammates, they want to do all the little things right. Because a lot of times, we get caught up in the big hit and the big play, but the little things that these guys do behind the scenes to help build our program and really help guide the players on the team and the younger generation of guys coming up. You couldn't ask for more from these guys. They have put it all out there on the line each and every day. They're some of the most passionate and hardworking people that I've ever met. So it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Coach.
Dr. Francini, let me just jump in here for a
yeah,
second.
Absolutely.
One thing I noticed, and again, I'm not, as the athletic director, I'm not involved in the day in, day out X's and O's except for the 2 nights in the hotel with Coach Brooks, and probably the most prepared coach I've ever seen in my life. But that could be a whole nother podcast. But one thing, and I said this at the girls basketball banquet, one thing that struck me with the girls basketball team was the kids that weren't in the game, the players that weren't in the game and maybe didn't get a lot of the playing time, how engaged they were in the games. And I didn't think I'd see another team like that until the baseball team. Those guys who, maybe only got in a pinch run or just were there during infield, outfield to do their job, and they knew that was their job and probably the only time they'd get on the field that day. They were on the top step of the dugout, the first people to cheer on their teammates, be out there to congratulate them. So I think, that's one thing that stood out to me in both these championship runs, just how both teams were truly a team in every sense of the word. There weren't any individuals. They were all in it together. And I think, moving forward, not only here, but, whether it's kids in youth sports or in the modified level and right up through the varsity level, use that as a lesson that, it's not about the individual. It's definitely about the team. And look, when you all put your mind to it and are all for one common goal, look what you can accomplish.
Thanks, Mark. That's a perfect segue to our next question. You received some feedback from the host site, which I shared with the board at our board meeting a couple nights ago. Do you want to talk a little bit about the feedback you received, which I think is in many ways more impressive than what was done on the field?
Yeah, so when we arrived at Union Endicott High School for the semifinal game, and Union Endicott's a terrific facility. We've been there for track and field. They've hosted the track and field state championships before, and they've got an outstanding baseball facility as well. So I want to thank them for being gracious hosts and everything. When we arrived there, soon as we got there, their director of facilities and safety was right there to meet us, escort us to inside for batting practice. But I got a chance to talk to him a lot while we were outside, and he was getting the field ready and doing some other things. Really nice guy and everything. It was actually their senior prank day at school, so he had been there since about 3 a.m. dealing with students sleeping on the turf football field and things like that. But I was able to get an email. Actually, it was on the bus ride home on Saturday. I think we were like going through Cobleskill, and I got an email, and I looked, and I showed Coach Brooks. It was an email from him just congratulating us on the state championship and saying how polite and respectful from the moment we stepped on campus our student athletes were. So not only, as we like to say, winners in the classroom, in the community, and in competition, I think with this team, we hit all three of those.
Absolutely. Thank you. So our last question comes from the name of the podcast, as well as our mission statement, which we talk about a lot here. And that is, what does every student every day mean to you? So we'll give you a second to think about that one. We'll go to Mr. Bubniak, because he's had to answer that a couple times, I think, on here. So we'll start with you, and then we'll go around again.
I know Coach Brooks is a little nervous with this one. He's been thinking about it, so you might want to go to him last.
You know what? I'm going to jump in first, despite that comment right there.
Go right ahead.
You mentioned it in the beginning, and at first I'm like, wow, what a great question, right? But then I think to myself, oh my God, that's why I'm here, right? I was a student in the district, had a tremendous experience. I always felt like I was in a place where, teachers and faculty members, really, really cared about me, right? So I was fortunate to have a great career coaching and teaching at Hoosick Valley. But at the time, my boys and my daughter wasn't even born at that moment. But, we were in Brunswick, and we really wanted to get back to the district. And, that's exactly why, right? This is a place that genuinely cares about their students, and it's the way I feel about my players, each and every day. So, as I thought about it, I thought to myself, well, you know what, that message is exactly why I'm here in the district. So
I can answer now, Coach Brooks.
Go ahead.
For me as the athletic director, it's easy. It's just simply making connections with students every day, and that could be as simple as a hello in the hallway, some student athletes stopping in my office just to chat, or being out at a game, or seeing our student athletes do something else, whether it's in a concert, at the senior awards night, just making connections with those students, basically.
Thank you, Mark. Michael, every student every day to you.
So I came from Gardner Dickinson. I went there for 9 years, came to Everett Park. I met all these seniors my freshman year, and I believe, like what Bubniak was saying, you just make so many connections with every student, because after I remember we won our sectional title this year, I did see all those seniors that I came to the school freshman year with, and they were just all it just shows the culture of Everett Park is just so different, because like I said, next year when I'm in the crowds, I'm going to be cheering on for the next few Everett Park teams for the generations to come, because you just build such a family with everyone, and I just couldn't thank Everett Park enough for that.
Thank you, Michael. Aiden, every student every day.
I've gone to April Park my whole life, and from the moment I walked into kindergarten, I was always shown support by everyone there, from middle school to high school. Always felt that teachers and students were always so respectful and kind to each other. I have multiple friendly relationships with many of my teachers, and I there's so many students and faculty that I'm friendly with, and I could say hello to every day, and it's just that kind of support that really breeds success at Averill Park, and I'm really glad to be a part of it.
Thank you, Aiden. And Steven's going to wrap it up for us.
So mine is just kind of a segue off of Aiden's as well. I've been in the district for my entire life as well, and I mean, again, from the day I've walked in, I've noticed every single day that all the teachers, all the faculty, everyone puts in so much effort to give us the best experience possible, especially when we get to the high school. I mean, all the opportunities were provided because of how much work everybody's put in to give us those opportunities. I mean, it truly does show that Ava Park is about every student every day. So I couldn't be happy to be a part of this.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. Well, I thank you guys for joining us. I know, as I said, it's recording this early in the day, and you guys have a lot going on. I just wanted to thank you and congratulate you. I kind of consider myself to be a baseball guy, and I enjoy watching and observing games. And watching this team play on the field was a pleasure in terms of how you played the game, the stuff that we've talked about today, that team first mentality, the way you handled yourselves. But, in my day job, when I go to games, as much as I'm watching the stuff going on the field, I'm watching almost more for behavior and are we representing ourselves? And that starts with our coaches on down to our players. And, I got to see you guys play a few times this year and was always impressed at the way that you guys handled yourselves on the field. And I think that, again, speaks volumes about the culture that's established and the work ethic and the commitment to each other that's been built. And just want to say thank you for that. You were a very easy team to root for. And in my job, that makes it a lot easier, right? Because, of course, we're going to root for you, but it's always better when it's easy to do because you know that the people out there are really doing things the right way. And thanks. Starts with Coach Brooks and, down to our players. So thank you for a great run. Fantastic way to end the school year. And thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. See you next time on Every Student, Every Day.